Just your water bottle. What's up, buddy? Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host Shakaama and Anubis. Oh, so special. Anubis is smelly. He needs his shampoo. Right? Isn't that right, buddy? I'm going to say this. For you women who are still in the market looking for a man, so all of you married women need not pay attention. Or pay attention just so you could gossip about it. Right? Isn't that right, buddy? Some time ago I made a video, I guess this year, saying that 30% of the men have disappeared. Well, I went and found them. And the women who are looking to get married or looking for a man for you know what, I mean money. So this is here. This is here. You're going to be a little bit upset. I found the men. In 2016, there were 5.4 million millionaires in the United States. In 2017, that number jumped up to 15.4 millionaires in the United States. If you were calculating there, that's about 10 million. Guess what my video said how many men had disappeared from the economy? I'll do the math for you. 10 million. 2018, there's even more than 15.4 millionaires in the United States. Are some of those millionaires women? I'm sure some are. Do they number in the millions? I doubt it. I doubt it. So we keep, if you read Money, if you read Inc. magazine, if you read Forbes magazine, except when they're trying to downgrade internet platforms and internet personalities such as myself, they do reports on, and this is a recurring story over and over and over. Apparently, it's very popular. Their readership is mainly men. And this story on all of these magazines, different magazines, is that men have checked out of the economy and at varying degrees have retired. At the age of 20, at the age of 30, at the age of 40, at the age of 50. So I did a very in-depth report talking about how men have disappeared. 10 million men have disappeared from the economy, right? Well, and that's of the men who are of working age, right? Well, here's the deal. The story that they keep saying is that such and so has made millions, or such and so has retired at the age of 20, 30, 40, 50, right? Are they all millionaires? No. They had a nice story on one of these TV channels, maybe Learning Channel, maybe History Channel, something like that, that has nothing to do with learning or history. And it was a couple, some yuppies, who decided that they would be self-sufficient and quit their super duper New York jobs and go literally live off the grid and on their own and be completely retired. So the couple, and it was the man, but she had I think they had a child, which they never showed. I don't know why they do that. Why do they not show the children? And then, who knows how old the children are, but they said they had a child or something like that. So she's dependent on him to stay with him and do whatever he wants to do, right? So if he says, honey, let's get off of Wall Street, we've been making too much money, but that's not what they did. The man sat down and looked at all of their expenses, everything, coffee every morning, all of their expenses, uh, clothing, the upkeep of the cars, the commutes, everything, every single little detail, right? And so the first thing they did was erase all of those unnecessary, and we're talking about necessary, not want, necessary, need, all of the unnecessary expenses that they had, right? Then they reduced it to one car, and then I think they reduced it to the metro or something like that, because New York has perfect public transit, I believe. And I believe you can get to Wall Street on the subway, and there's lots of I'm sorry, I'm seeing a light come from my room. As you can tell, it's not very bright in my house, and there's like something glowing in my room. Anyway, you can take the subway anywhere, and I believe that the Wall Street subway has a bunch of the Wall Street people literally hop off of the subway and come up and issue forth into Wall Street to go to their $500,000 a year jobs. So these people saved up, and then they moved out into the country, and they actually reduced their home square footage. So they made, since they made so both of them made so much money, they reduced the square footage down when they moved out of the country, which is kind of crazy. They said that they did that to cut down the expenses. They have solar panels. They have, everything that you would think of. And basically, they disappeared off the map. Quit their jobs, everything. Now, that's one couple. Now, of course, they have to show the couple. But the recurring story is that men do this all the time. They get out of the rat race. They're not making a ton of money, but they reduce their expenses, all unnecessary expenses, down to zero if they possibly can. And then save all of that money, and then go buy a house and quote unquote retire. Somebody did a report looking at how much money it would cost to play video games all year long versus dating. And of course, it was nowhere near close. And they said for the initial cost, we're talking console and everything, right? $500 in a year. You can spend $500 on a girl if you let her dictate everything in the relationship in a week. And depending on the girlfriend, that could be $500 in a night. Right, if you got it like that, right? If you are eating at P.F. Chang's every other night, and I'm just saying, Wolfgang Puck's. I'm just trying to list off stuff that sounds that most of you all wouldn't actually go to. You can spend $100 in a night on a dinner easily. So spending $500 in a week on a girl, easy peasy. I did that on myself at one point in my life. I worked and went out and ate out all day long. I got 3 or 4 hours of sleep and repeated the day all over, right? And then, of course, I had nothing to show for it when it came time to move out on my own. I didn't have expenses at the time. I lived with my mother, who then kicked me out and said she needed her privacy in her mansion. We never saw each other. I lived in the same house as she did. We never saw each other because first of all, if I ever saw her, she was like, oh, wow. And then she said, you come in late at night. Well, I work till midnight. Then I have to come all the way across town, so it's going to be about 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. hmm And I'm going to sleep for a couple of hours, literally get up and go back to the first job. I had two jobs, two full-time jobs at the time. And she said she needed her privacy. I don't understand her. She's living in a house, or at that house. Now she's living in an even larger house. But she said, it scares me when you come in at night. Well, okay, what do you? Anyway, it's just crazy. Anyway, the men have turned into millionaires, and the ones who are not millionaires retired. They even talked about a guy who retired and all he made was $20,000 a year. What did he do? He saved up to his money and bought a 1-bedroom house, and then he just, played video games. And the expenses were nowhere near how much, and he calculated how much he's going to need for each year and blah, 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 blah. And he saved all of his money. All of his money, everything, $20,000 a year. So these women who say, you need to make this much money, not for a man. Not for a man. And men can live in shoeboxes and be perfectly content. No, they're not. Most men, when you talk about balling or flexing or all of that sort of stuff, they're flexing for women because women are enamored by that, right? I'm going to go with him. He's got all the money, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Jose, Tyrone, and Elliot, I'm trying to think of stereotypical names for different races, are all fine going over to each other's house every other night and play Madden or NBA Playground or what have you, right? So there you go. That's the report. Very simple thing. Men have turned into millionaires, and they were literally saying every year it gets better and better and better. And it's about commodities. It's about equities. It's about mutual funds. It's about real estate. It's about collectible, rare collectibles that will appreciate in value, such as art and stuff like that, right? Speaking of which, I heard a very interesting story. So a guy did street art, and he literally said, I want my art to be free all the time, throughout history, for everybody. Well, people kept trying to buy his art that he was trying to make available to the public, not in somebody's den, right? Or hallway, or whatever, in their mansion, right? In their McMansion, or whatever. So he made a piece, and the piece sold for $1.5 million. And as people are solidifying the purchase, solidifying the money, and handing it over to the art house, the art piece disintegrated before everybody's eyes. And he literally said, this is not to be sold at auction. And he said this was the whole point, was that people need to stop trying to buy my artwork. I want my artwork to be free. And so you have a picture of everybody. This is not a movie. This is real life. Everybody's going like this, on their phone talking to their clients. The art piece just disintegrated. It's something that you would see, and it's probably be in a movie somewhere. I mean, straight savage, right? That's how the kids say it. Say it, right? Straight savage. Now I look like what's his name? Prozac? What's his name? Zoko, the guy who was in Congress going. That's how I picture the guy going, I told you don't buy my art. Told you don't buy my art. Okay, so that's where the men have gone. if you men are out there and you are trying to be a monk or trying to go MGTOW or whatever, remove your expenses, save your money, then go retire early. Thank you all for watching. Please leave a like. Thank you.